Battleship 2012 movie synopsis by Zillur Movies recapped. In 2005, a planet able to support life is found by scientists and named Planet G. NASA scientists ship a sign however get no reply. In the meantime, Alex Hopper is a gifted however undisciplined slacker. His brother Stone, a naval officer in control of USS Sampson and Arleigh Burke, forces Hopper to hitch the Navy. A number of years later, Hopper is a lieutenant in Flight Data Middle on the USS John Paul Jones, DDG-53, an older sister ship to his brother's command, the USS Sampson, DDG-102. Hopper additionally falls in love with Admiral Shane's daughter, Samantha, and needs to marry her, however, is afraid of asking her father's permission, as he does not like Hopper. Through the RIMPAC opening ceremony, Hopper will get right into a brawl with Captain Nagata of the Japanese Maritime Self-Protection Power, accountable for JDS Myoko, DDG-175. Hopper quickly learns that he's to be kicked out of the Navy on the finish of RIMPAC. In the meantime, Samantha accompanies military veteran and amputee Mick Canales on a hike on Oahu so as to assist him to adapt to his prosthetic legs. A small fleet of alien ships arrives in response to the NASA sign. One ship collides with orbital satellite TV for PC and crashes in Hong Kong, whereas 5 others land within the waters close to Hawaii. Listening to this, the John Paul Jones, Sampson, and Myoko are dispatched to research. The aliens erect a large power area across the islands, trapping all ships within the fast space, and stopping any communication or help from exterior the realm protected by the sector. The aliens assault, destroying each Myoko and Sampson, the latter with no survivors. Hopper's superiors are killed, leaving him in control of John Paul Jones. Captain Nagata and a few of his crew members are rescued from the waters and assist the people in organizing a discreet approach to observe the aliens utilizing wave detection buoys. Throughout a nighttime battle, the aliens and the people change pot pictures. However, Hopper manages to sink 2 alien ships. They rescue an alien from the water and uncover the aliens are very delicate to solar mild and should be put on filters throughout the day. Utilizing this information, Hopper assaults one other alien ship at daybreak, utilizing a sniper rifle with Nagata to breach their cockpit window and blind them with daylight. Each ship is destroyed within the battle. Earlier, a bunch of alien foot soldiers and scientists lands on Oahu and assault the NASA communications array. Samantha and Mick narrowly keep away from their detection and run right into a fleeing NASA scientist. As a result of the aliens' communications ship crashing in Hong Kong, the aliens plan to make use of the NASA array to sign their dwelling planet to invade Earth. Realizing that a bigger invasion is likely to be imminent, Samantha manages to get a communications system and warns Hopper of the risk. Initially, the Jones would destroy the array. However, with the destroyer sunk, they seemingly haven't any hope in opposition to stopping the aliens in time. Having no higher choices, the surviving crew of the John Paul Jones return to harbor and board the USS Missouri, BB-63, a 70-year outdated decommissioned battleship that has been transformed right into a museum, however, armed with an important battery of 16-inch naval rifles. With the help of the museum ship's caretakers, all aged Fight Navy veterans, Hopper manages to place Missouri out to sea once more. With some intelligent maneuvers, Missouri destroys the final alien ship and shells the communications array, destroying the aliens and ending the specter of invasion. Again on shore, the crew and Mick all get medals, together with a posthumous one to Stone. After the ceremony, Admiral Shane leads Hopper off to debate his phrases of giving up over a meal. Summaries: a fleet of ships is pressured to do battle with an armada of unknown origins so as to uncover and thwart their damaging objectives. A world fleet of naval warships encounters an alien armada, whereas on a naval warfare video games train and faces the most important risk mankind has ever confronted. An intense battle is fought on sea, land, and air. In the event that they lose, the world may face a significant extinction occasion and an alien invasion. Will people win this alien warfare? What are the aliens doing right here, and what do they need? After making contact with a technologically superior extraterrestrial life kind, 5 alien spaceships penetrate our photovoltaic system and interrupt the 2012 Rimpak train. Now, the alien armada poses the final word risk for all humanity, and the ones to seize them are the courageous crew of the guided missile destroyer, USS John Paul Jones, and its younger commanding officer, Lieutenant Alex Hopper. Off the coast of Hawaii, the fierce and decisive battle for Earth will resolve humankind's destiny. Can we cease the all-out alien invasion? Battleship had the nice potential to be good, with the involvement of Liam Neeson, and is primarily based on an enjoyable board recreation. Plus the idea was actually good. All of that is squandered by very poor execution. Only for the file, this reviewer did know what to anticipate. Was nicely conscious that Battleship was not meant to be taken severely, was meant to be large, dumb, enjoyable, and that it was going to be foolish. In my view, the movie failed in any respect these goals. It isn't all unhealthy. It's a great-looking movie. It is slickly shot with good use of areas, and the particular results, by far the very best factor about Battleship, are improbable. The sound results are sometimes thrilling of their authenticity too. Whereas the performing was largely not good in any respect, the very best efficiency does come from a really enthusiastic Alexander Skarsgård. As for the remainder of the performances, a lot has been mentioned about Rihanna's efficiency. And it's true that she could be very annoying and misplaced in a task that has no actual level to it. Taylor Kitsch is a slightly bland and uncharismatic lead, and Brooklyn Decker's performing expertise show to be fairly restricted. Being the wonderful actor he's proved in Schindler's Checklist and Kinsey, you'd anticipate Liam Neeson to be a redeeming high quality. He tries his greatest, however he's underused and slightly one-dimensionally gruff. The aliens exude no actual risk or persona, additionally fairly clumsily integrated into the story. The music is loud, bombastic, and never a lot else with an excessive amount of one temper, and it does not at all times gel, and the movie is under-directed by Peter Berg. Regardless of the improbable particular results and nice visuals, the set items and extra action-oriented elements are heavy in stupidity and low in pleasure and pressure, fairly boring really. The place Battleship falls down most upon are the script and story. Utilizing each cliché and character stereotype within the guide, the dialogue is commonly cringe-worthy with lazy and overlong exposition and really clumsy and compelled jokes. Whereas this reviewer actually tried to not take Battleship severely and take it for what it was onerous to not when the movie took intelligence-insulting stupidity to extremes, underdeveloped a lot of the drama, did not attempt to make sense, and in some locations even took itself too severely. The story simply does not have interaction, and whereas it isn't at all times truthful to criticize a movie for being predictable, all the pieces were simply too apparent, and by product the place you continuously knew what was going to occur subsequently. In 2006, NASA dispatched a sign to a planet similar to Earth by way of the Beacon Worldwide Challenge in Saddle Ridge Station, in Hawaii. Within the current days in Hawaii, the troublemaker Alex Hopper, Taylor Kitsch, will get in a giant confusion to get a rooster burr. Ito to seduce the beautiful Sam, Brooklyn Decker, who's the daughter of Admiral Shane, Liam Neeson. Alex's brother Commander Stone Hopper, Alexander Skarsgård, forces Alex to hitch the Navy. Lieutenant Alex Cooper participates in a global soccer competition promoted by the Navy, and within the ultimate recreation, he has friction with Captain Yugi Nagata, Tadanobu Asano, and Admiral Shane guarantees to expel him from the Navy in the long run of the worldwide operations within the sea. Alex stays within the destroyer John Paul Jones, ready for the top to the coaching. Out of the blue, 5 alien spacecraft involve Earth, and one in every one of them hits a satellite TV for PC and explodes, hitting Hong Kong. Nevertheless, the opposite 4 lands on the Pacific Ocean and creates a drive area across the space without communication to the skin. 2 vessels inside the realm are destroyed by the alien drive, however John Paul Jones survives, and Lieutenant Alex Cooper is the best-ranked officer on board. Now Lieutenant Alex Cooper has to take the selections to avoid wasting Earth from the alien assault. Battleship is extremely entertaining, filled with motion sci-fi, regardless of the same old American nationalistic boasting in films with armed forces. I had decreased expectations with this movie, however in the long run I preferred it. The story shouldn't be unhealthy, and even Rihanna has good efficiency. If the viewer turns the brains off, she or he will in all probability get pleasure from this movie, and specifically the good particular results. Wait till the top of the credit for an ultimate scene in Scotland. Finally but not least, the music rating can also be great. My vote is 7. Title: Brazil, Battleship. A Batalha dos Mares, Battleship. The Battle of the Seas. Mainly the easiest way you would describe this film is that it is being a Michael Bay film, without having Michael Bay concerned with it. It is a type of humor. Not solely is the film large and overblown, it even options the very same digital camera dealing with build-up and characters like a Michael Bay film. It is as if the studio informed director Peter Berg to make a Michael Bay sort of film, and Berg took it a bit too actually. However, in all honesty, I am not a Bay hater, so I am additionally not hating on this film for taking such a method. Having mentioned that, it, after all, remains to be removed from a fantastic film. However, in order for you some large, dumb leisure, this film is nicely price-seeing, however. It has all the professionals of a Michael Bay in it, but in addition actually the entire cons. It is a good wanting and sometimes additionally spectacular film. However, it's very skinny on its story, and the characters by no means actually turn into likable sufficient to make you care about something that's taking place on this film. After all, it additionally encompasses a removed from convincing idea to start with, and the film by no means actually makes any good try to clarify sure stuff or make issues practical, in any method or kind. The entire thought of the film was already a bit loopy to start with. Making a dwell motion film, primarily based on a board recreation, that is not even about maritime battles but about human ships versus aliens as a substitute. No, after all, it has little or no to do with the board recreation, Battleship. Although the film at one level nonetheless integrated the idea of the board recreation into the film fairly creatively. I can after all perceive the studios wanting to connect the title, Battleship, to their undertaking because it's already a nicely established title and other people all around the world are accustomed to the sport. And I can after all additionally perceive the sport producer, that in all probability bought paid large dollars, and thought that the potential reputation of this film would add to the sale of their very own product as nicely. So that is all one thing I will not maintain in opposition to the film. The film is sustaining sufficient as it has some good motion and the particular results are all nice wanting. It is positively a very good film to observe on the massive display, for those who merely wish to have a very good time and do not wish to take into consideration stuff an excessive amount of. And simply as I assumed, Liam Neeson is definitely hard on this film in any respect. Looks like they solely cast him to have a giant title hooked up to the undertaking. His scenes in all probability bought shot inside the time span of every week, so please do not go watching this film anticipating to see numerous Liam Neeson awesomeness or to see him taking over a few aliens and their battleships. Not a fantastic film in any method, however it fortunately nonetheless is entertaining sufficient. This film is a nicely paced mixture of outdated and new, large and small. The quaint model sea battle with coordinates and missiles is nicely blended with trendy expertise, aliens, and pictures. The motion sequences mix large naval battles and destruction scenes in Hong Kong and Hawaii with smaller-scale hand-handy confrontations with aliens. The story is aliens invade and the Navy does battle with them in Hawaii. There may be some humor and the characters are fairly likable and identifiable. No overuse of CGI or complicated Transformers model aliens. The course and pictures are clear and non-jerky. Kudos to Peter Berg, who has come to a great distance since Friday Evening Lights. The texture-good story is ingenious and retains you entertained all through. The plot is clearly defined so it does not really feel irritating. Appreciated the way in which the joint efforts of the totally different characters tied in with diplomatic contributions from all races. Few World War II Pearl Harbor tie-ins for individuals who discover. Good bits of humor and use of veterans. The Forged is nice. Taylor Kitsch is the everyman reluctant hero. He's alright, and this may in all probability show extra profitable a task for him than John Carter. Brooklyn is kind of convincing in her motion function regardless of being distractingly nicely endowed. Alexander Skarsgård performs as the older brother of Taylor. Liam Neeson because the Admiral has a small however dignified function and provides some class to the film. Even Rihanna is convincing. This is among the higher motion films of the latest years. Get numerous good stable motions and pleasure on your buck. Everyone has seen the trailers for this particular results flick, and so did I. However, I simply did not know the place this flick was going. After seeing it, I had a couple of issues with this flick. To begin with, the primary half hour did take a bit too lengthy. It was extra about brothership and a love story. However, as soon as the Navy goes to sea, the film actually begins, and I loved it quite a bit. After all, you do not watch it for the performance but for the results. However, I need to say that Taylor Kitsch, from John Carter fame, did an incredible job. He was plausible, a factor we could not say from Rihanna. The one factor she did was reacting to conditions and clearly ready for her traces to inform. However, it's the story that sucks someday. It is clear with a patriotic background written. The Japanese are the unhealthy guys early on. That adjustments however nonetheless. However, as soon as they go for the outdated battleship, I nearly began to vomit. This was with a message. The USA is the very best. There the film drops into patriotism. It did bear in mind me to the outdated WOII flicks had been the people at all times had been the heroes. Fortunately, in direction of the top, it picks up what it ought to do. The results however are actually a should-see in Blu-ray. Some issues are actually unbelievable, just like the assault on Hong Kong. Nonetheless, one shot jogged my memory of the WTC assault in New York. The view from the bottom when one of many planes crashes into the construction. It is the results and the performance that saved this flick. Do not get me fallacious. It is not all that unhealthy. However, the patriotism for folks out of the US of A makes it a bit laughable. Everyone knows higher. The top is of course a contented one you'll be able to see coming from miles away. In case you are a lover of the Transformers franchise, then certainly decide this on up. A should-see impact was sensible. Peter Berg, identified for movies like The Kingdom and Hancock, appeared to have picked up some directing suggestions from Michael Bay in studying the craft and introducing characters, in addition to blowing issues up. Take for example the complete sequence Auth Place Hong Kong bore the brunt of a crashing from UFOs, which come full with the destruction of skyscrapers and obliterating nearly all the pieces on its crowded, slim streets. And that is not all. With the story by Eric and John Hober taking a leaf out of crafting the requisite feminine character who's all boobs and legs, and little else. The hero of the day seems to be a zero at first, with John Carter's Taylor Kitsch having a second go at main motion man standing, starring because the troublemaker Alex Hopper, who got recruited into the military by Brother Stone, Alexander Skarsgård, in order to show his wayward sibling about self-discipline, and holding down a job because the U.S. Armed Forces are nearly able to recruit and retain nearly anyone. So for character growth, you get to see how Alex grows from zero to hero, having accountability and management thrust into his face as probably the most senior officer on board a ship, whereas however is all jitters when he has to ask permission from the daddy of his girlfriend, performed by Brooklyn Decker, for her hand in marriage. With Liam Neeson enjoying Admiral Shane, and a really ceremonial one I could add, and the primary man that this rascal has bought to T-Method, it is plausible nearly everybody will moist their pants as nicely. However, maintain on shelf that apart. As a result of right here comes some aliens from outer house that interrupted what would appear like a typical Five Powers Protection Association naval train, and conveniently solely a handful of ships get to go one-on-one with the aliens, with the remainder of the extra highly effective armada of plane carriers, frigates and destroyers disregarded of the Chile by way of the introduction of a drive area. A number of the uncommon plus factors will level to why Battleship remains to be an everlasting recreation up till at present. As a result of it is a recreation of technique and ways, and solely when the people versus aliens really sit down and play what could be a spruced up model of this recreation, do issues begin to excite a bit. And it is fairly quick-lived as nicely, because the focus is sort of at all times on the particular results, and to a color nearly who has the bigger and quicker weaponry that may tear the opposite social gathering aside. Rihanna, in her characteristic movie debut, additionally impressed together with her charisma, lighting up the display every time she comes on, plausible because the powerful as nails sailor chick and gunner of her ship, and thank goodness there was a deliberate hand at play to maintain her musical background at bay, since she does not break into track, nor contributed any music to the soundtrack of the film. If Rambo was cathartic to handle USA's failure within the Vietnam warfare, then Battleship is the equal of the identical for the U.S. Navy in World War II in how they had been blindsided by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. Certainly the movie is ready close to, and across the harbor and the Hawaiian Islands, and the Japanese bought a range as pleasant foes within the video games the Army males play. However, all the pieces else quickly dissolved into admiration and friendship, with Tadanobu Asano enjoying the Japanese Captain Nagata, with whom varieties a quick bond with Alex Ho. PPER